Welcome back to the most unofficial sports channel on YouTube. Welcome back to Swivel Chair Sports. I'm your host, Zach Circleberg Burkle, here with the coast today, Aaron and Joe. Go and say hi, guys.
Hello.
All right, first video in about 2 weeks, so welcome back to us. Hopefully you feel the same. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video. In today's video, we'll be giving you our third quarter season power rankings. This will be our last power rankings, well, technically second to last power rankings before the playoffs, but the last power rankings while regular season games are still yet to play. So yeah, we'll be going through, starting with our honorable mention down at 11, working our way back up to the best team in the league according to us, each taking a turn, going from 11 up to 1. But yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it.
Yeah, and if you like our content, be sure to like and subscribe, leave a comment, let us know what you think.
All right, so starting off with my number 11, or honorable mentioned team at this point in the season. They took a little bit of a step back since last time we've ranked them, or maybe even the first 2 times, because they started off the season pretty hot. I got the Washington Commanders. They've gotten a little cold here as of late. I know they went on a little bit of a skid. I think it was like a 3-game losing streak or something like that, just before picking up a win this past week against Tennessee. But yeah, before that, losing to Dallas, Philadelphia, 2 division games. That's tough. Losing to the Steelers before that. Best team in the AFC North right now. So they're beating the teams they should for the most part, like the Titans, the Bears, the Panthers, the Giants. But they've fallen short to some of the stiffer competition they've come across, like the Ravens, Steelers, like I mentioned, Eagles. So it's going to be interesting to see how this team shapes up down the stretch. Obviously, one of the best offenses in the league still, but still a lot of questions surrounding that defensive side. I think they're still probably a little early to the party with rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels. Should continue to build on this season once this year's wrapped up. But I think for this year, they're probably looking at like sneaking in as a 6th seed maybe. Could be a little scrappy in that first round, but could easily lose round 1 of the playoffs this year. But nonetheless, something to be proud of for the Washington Commanders. So.
Yeah, I've got the Texans at 11. Real concerns with that O-line performance as far as pass protection goes. They've got all the skill weapons they need. Granted, they've been a little bit banged up at wide receiver, but Joe Mixon's been absolutely tearing it up since his return. But you find a good team that can stop the run game, and I worry that they're not going to be able to protect DJ Stroud as well as they should be. So that's why they've fallen a little bit for me.
11 for me. 2 of you guys' teams were there for me. I was debating on both of those teams as well. But honestly, we'll go with the Chargers at 11. I like the Chargers. I think what they're doing looks good. Maybe it's just me holding on to like the San Diego thing. I'm just like expecting something to go wrong. I mean, they beat, when they were winning, it was against, the Saints and the Browns. Like, they haven't had too many like huge wins. The Falcons game, I don't think should have been that close. Not when your defense plays the way that they did. What they think, 3 interceptions. I still expect more. I mean, Justin Herbert's not perfect. You can have bad games. The offense can have bad games, but coming this late in the year, you don't need one. You don't want that kind of game to be happening when your defense has to play that well for you to sneak out of it. You know what I mean? That's coming from a Steelers fan who has a defense that does that for us all the time. But yeah, I still like the Chargers. I like what they're doing. It's just that I'm just not comfortable putting them high. I just feel like something bad's coming. Hope not, though.
Yeah, I mean, I like all of our honorable mentions, honestly, because those are the teams, the 3 teams I have in my 9, 10, 11 spot. At number 10, I've got the Houston Texans. So kind of echoing a lot of what you said earlier, Aaron. Obviously, that offense is it can be lethal, but it's been through a lot of injuries this year. The offensive line's been a little shaky as well, so I don't think they can quite live up to their full potential. Their defense has kind of been more impressive to me. Looking at the statistics, they're one of the best teams in the league at forcing interceptions. Second, I believe, only behind Green Bay. That could be wrong, but second in the league in interceptions on the defensive side of the football. They're also fourth in yards allowed defensively, so they're really good at keeping teams from getting down the field, which is good because that offense has been struggling a little bit, so that keeps a little bit of the pressure off of CJ Stroud to do maybe do too much. But then on top of that, I mean, they're really good against the run on the defensive side, terrible against the pass. Really, like, other than getting interceptions, really bad, letting up a lot of yards against the pass this year. But against the run, I mean, 10th in the league rushing yards against, 5th in the league rushing touchdowns against. So they're doing a good job up front in that front seven, winning the trenches on the defensive side of the ball, ironically not on the offensive side. But yeah, I think a little bit to be desired with this team. I think if they were fully healthy, they'd probably be a little further up in my rankings. But with the injuries to that receiving core and then that offensive line being a little shaky, I think I've got to put them there at 10.
Yeah, I've got the Broncos at 10, and got to give a little credit to Joe for putting them there early. But, you know, I think Bo Nix came in as probably one of the more NFL-ready quarterbacks, just given how many games he played and started in college. And that defense is just, you know, absolutely lethal. So I think Bo Nix taking a little bit faster progression than some people might have originally thought, making that offense look a little bit better. Especially with the sort of cap hell that Russell Wilson put them in. Broncos not too shabby of a team.
Russell Wilson didn't put them there; they put themselves there. All right, and we thank them for what they did. Thank them for their service. Sorry, continue.
No, it's on you. I'm finished.
My 10. I do like what you said about Bo Nix, though. I mean, it comes to question like. Sean Payton said he wanted a guy with like experience, and he got the guy with the most career freaking games. Like, gonna make it interesting to see his success. Does that change anyone else's mindset in next coming draft, like future drafts?
And Anthony Richardson's struggles, being a guy who didn't play a whole lot.
The other end of that, wow, yeah. All right. Just gonna shake some stuff up. Let's go. Number 10. I'll keep mine short. I had Houston. Everything Burke said. One thing I will say is that offense, the connection between Stroud and Collins, though, is ridiculous. Even when that team don't go, those two can still connect. Like it seems like. So, yeah, that's all though. You guys have mentioned everything else.
Yeah, number 9. I mean, you talked about them earlier, Joe. I got the Chargers there. I wanted to put them higher actually, but similar to your sentiment, I just don't quite have enough faith that everything's going to go perfect for them. I could see them, you know, stumbling a little bit down the stretch just because they're the Chargers. Really, that's the only reason. Because outside of that, they seem like a pretty solid team. Outside of the name on their jerseys, but the defense, best scoring defense in the league, and then Justin Herbert. He's not asked to do a lot this year, but he's also not doing anything bad. I mean, only 1 interception all season long. That's incredible. For a quarterback. I mean, again, he's not throwing nearly as much as he used to, but still has 13 touchdowns on top of that, so it's not like he's not throwing the ball at all. And then you add the lethal running game that they kind of seem to have established with J.K. Dobbins back there. It's a scary team. The Chargers, probably the biggest threat in the AFC West to the Chiefs winning the division. I mean, it's kind of locked up at this point, but a few weeks ago, you would have said they were the biggest threat in the AFC West to win the division. Chiefs could, seal it up this week by just beating them. But nevertheless, I think they're a good team, heading in the right direction. And Jim Harbaugh kind of scares me come playoff time. So I don't know if I want to face the Chargers round 1 if I'm the Chiefs. Get that first round bye.
Yeah, I've got the Chargers at 9 as well. Obviously, defense looks really good. I don't think we really had any questions as to Herbert's, what his talent and what he'd be able to do. Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, we knew if they were able to stay healthy that run game would be really lethal, especially if you paid any attention to Jim at Michigan and his style of play he liked to run there.
Yeah.
But the thing that's kind of surprised me at just how consistent in how much they've progressed is that receiving core, Lad McConkey and Quentin Johnston, really kind of coming along this year.
Yeah,
So
showed a little bit of his old
that
self. What was it, 2 weeks ago or last week?
yeah, I mean, he's still getting there, but I mean, early in the season showed a big step in the right direction.
Yeah, that's true.
From last year, not being able to catch the ball really at all. So credit to the Chargers receiving core developing.
And expect him to be perfect the entire year when he starts like that. The guy still has the tendencies. Mine, nine. I got Denver. I had him at, I think, 10 last time, so they've done only anything but kind of prove me right, because Aaron did not like when I had the Broncos that high. He said it was way overrated. So he's beat me in everything else when it comes to this channel, so at least I got that call right as far as that goes. I had to put him up at 9 just for that sake, but I mean, they're making it happen. Even on paper, they don't look like a team that should be, but Sean Payton's got them playing that defense. Hey, who is the Bolton DN for them? Or the
Oh
outside
no,
back?
Benito. Yeah.
Oh, Benito. You guys have Bolton. Yeah, that dude is going crazy this season for them, which is fun. So I mean, I don't got much on them. I got Denver, and I think I like them more than the other teams.
Yeah, I really wanted to put Denver in my top 11, but I think they just missed out at 12. But at number 8, I got the Vikings. I wanted to put them a little lower, but their defense has done enough for me this year to put them over teams. I mean, the Chargers defense is great, but I just have a little bit more faith in the weapons that the Vikings have on the offensive side than what the Chargers have on the offensive side. I think the defenses are fairly comparable. And then I just think they're a slightly better team than the Texans. That kind of showed earlier this year when they beat them up early in the season. So, yeah, I mean, one of the best defenses in the league, best in the league when it comes to forcing turnovers for the most part. They're actually the team that surpasses, who was it I talked about earlier? The Texans in interceptions created. They've got 20 on the year as a team, which is ridiculous at this point. They might end with 30, which would be nuts. And then on top of that, they're not letting the teams run on them at all. Like, first in yards allowed, first in touchdowns allowed. So they're really able to stuff the run up front. Only thing I have questions about is Sam Darnold and the knack of that offense to turn the ball over themselves. It's really good that their defense forces so many turnovers because they're bottom 5 in the league at giving it away. And I definitely think that's something that could, come back and bite them in the ass late in the season. It's already kind of starting to here recently with them picking up a few losses here as of, no, I guess it's been a while since they lost. I thought they lost recently. They just haven't looked the same, though, on offense. The offense looks a little bit more stagnant than it did to start the season. I think people are kind of starting to figure Sam Darnold out a little bit more. But yeah, I think them and the Packers are neck and neck, man, and that kind of spoils who my next selection is going to be. But it's really close to see who's going to be that second best team in the NFC North this year.
Yeah, I've got the Vikings at 8 as well. Just only thing kind of holding that offense back, kind of like Burke said, is the quarterback in Sam Darnold. Aaron Jones looks like vintage Aaron Jones. Don't know really where that came from with, kind of the concerns coming out of Green Bay. Would he be able to hold up for an entire year? But he's looking solid so far. So just kind of QB concerns for me for the Vikings.
How many picks does Sam Darnold have? Is he turning it over that much?
I mean, he's got like...
It's
is he like 10?
It's like 10, but it's more so the fumbles. They have a lot of fumbles.
I know Aaron Jones has like 3 in the past 2 weeks or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, 10 picks to 23 touchdowns. It's not terrible, but it's definitely not anything great. But I think it's the fumbles where they're really hurting. They've got like... Where's it at?
All in all, the Vikings gotta be, even the fans, you gotta take what you can get and just accept the fact that this season has turned out to what it's been. Because with the question of Sam Darnold, you didn't know what you were about to get, and then he comes in and he's 10-2. I mean,
oh yeah,
he was a perfect bridge guy with McCarthy, like just a perfect.
Oh yeah, they weren't even expecting to make the playoffs this year, so the fact that they're 10-2 is
Exactly.
incredible.
So, I mean, credit to them. My 8 is. I'm not being biased with it, definitely, by putting them here. So I got the Steelers at 8. They were my couple weeks ago. I had them at 9. I had them just in the top 10. They moved up a spot. That's because a couple teams fell lower, or another team fell out. That's all. The defense is playing. I'm not getting my hopes up about this week. I mean, it was amazing to see the Steelers offense that could even score like that because it's been so long. Yes, it was against the Bengals defense, so I'm not going crazy, but I like the fact that it's in there. Russ has it in there. The team has it in there. Najee looks good. He's looking like he might make us regret, not picking up that fifth-year option. And I'm good with that. Pickens is balling. The defense. The only concern, man, I'm waiting for Minka to make a splash play. Minka hasn't had a turnover, like a pick or anything, I think, since end of 2022. That means almost 2 seasons. And if he finds a way to make splash play or make something happen, and that gets going on our back end, I think it's going to be that defense alone is going to carry us somewhere. I think a lot of offense, I don't think there's a team that makes the playoffs that wants to play the Steelers just because the defense alone.
Yeah.
Especially not if they can somehow find a way to get in the division and get a home game in the first round. That'd be big. But yeah, Steelers at 8. I'm trying to not get too excited. I need to see that Chiefs game and that Eagles game before I can feel confident about where we might be.
Yeah, that's fair. I almost had the Steelers as my 7, but I had them a little bit higher just because really the way they've been playing their division this year has been pretty impressive. But at 7, I've got the Packers, talked about it a little earlier. You could argue that they could be higher on this list if you just look at the statistics for this team, because top 10 in points scored on offense, top 10 in points allowed on defense, 3rd in yards on offense, and then 12th in yards on defense. So, and then even on the turnover battle, I mean, they're middle of the pack as far as giving it away, but they're 4th in the league at taking it away. So they're really just a pretty good team in every facet of the game. The one thing that gives me a little pause is Jordan Love has a little bit of a tendency to try to be the hero, and I think that could end up getting him in trouble, especially in a crucial game where it kind of comes down to one final drive. We saw it last year in the NFC Championship game where he threw the game-sealing pick against the 49ers that basically sealed it for Green Bay that day. But that's really the only question I have for this team. I think they're a little immature. Could use a little bit more seasoning, I think. But similar to the other teams I've talked about, they're definitely heading in the right direction. This is a very scary team that if they get hot, going into the playoffs, they could beat just about anybody in the league, including on the AFC side. So, I got Packers at 7, but I mean, I could easily see the case for them to be a few spots higher.
I've got the Ravens at 7. Falling quite a bit from where we had them or where I had them last. Defensive concerns. I mean, if you watch that Eagles game, maybe not as close as the score suggests, but they kind of seem like a one-trick pony. Now, granted, it is a very good trick. It's run with Derrick Henry or Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
But their receiving talent hasn't really. Something's not quite meshing with them and Lamar Jackson. It seems they're not always on the same page, and I don't think that they're necessarily developing the talent as fast as some of these other teams do with their receivers. And kind of like we said earlier, defensive concerns. So they're a good team. They're a dangerous team. They'll always be as long as they've got Lamar Jackson. But I think they've got some worries.
I had Baltimore at 7 also. So, I mean, that made it easy for me. I agree with everything he said. At press conference after the game, Lamar Jackson saying his mom was cussing him out and yelling at him for not playing like he should and hitting some of the running lanes on the dropbacks and scrambling and stuff like he normally does. And he said it was because the game plan was they thought they had mismatches on the outside at receiver. And then, like Aaron just said, then they're having trouble. Like there's a disconnect or something. And it's like, no matter what, I think at the end of the day, it needs to be leave the ball in the hands of Lamar and let him and Derrick Henry run the show. That's what the 49ers have done with Brock Purdy up until this year. Have done with Brock Purdy and that team. Hand the ball off, get the ball to your weapons as fast as you can, let them make plays. So if they stick to just doing that, then they're going to be the scary team that all of us had them ranked, top 3, top 4 all year. But they'll take a couple steps one week and then another week like this past, take a couple steps back and have you questioning the consistency.
Yeah, number 6, I've got the Pittsburgh Steelers. I was kind of debating whether or not to put them at 5 or not, but ended up falling at 6. In my opinion, they do probably have the best defense in the league. I mean, you look at the statistics; they're 6th in points allowed, 6th in yards allowed, number 1 in takeaways, 4th in interceptions and touchdowns allowed, passing touchdowns allowed, 3rd in or 4th in rushing yards. So they're just a stifling defense that doesn't let any team, really get any breathing room. And then on top of that, Russell Wilson's playing the best football he has in 3 years. He's back similar to his Hall of Fame caliber self. Specifically, he's not turning the ball over, which is the main thing that he's, been doing great this year at, is taking care of the football. He's not running it hardly at all this year. Basically, is just a statuesque quarterback, which is kind of weird to say about Russ, but he's doing really well in that role. So, yeah, I mean, I see the Steelers team just kind of rolling to, at this point, I think me and Joe talked about it earlier this week. All they really have to do is beat the Ravens this last time, and they basically locked up the division as long as they just do what they need to do what they're supposed to do. So, yeah, I think the Steelers team is going to be, like you said, Joe, really dangerous. I don't think anybody in the AFC wants to play them, especially round 1 if they have a home game. So, yeah, Pittsburgh at 6. Could see them moving up before playoffs start.
I've got the Packers at 6. Kind of like Burke said earlier, that offense has all the weapons it needs to succeed. Just every once in a while, a mistake from Jordan Love here and there, and that happens. He's still a young quarterback, not a lot of starting experience in the NFL. It's only his 2nd year, so this will be a fun young team to watch as they go. And not to mention that defense has taken some leaps and bounds from where it has been in the previous years. Get a big win over their sort of rivals, the 49ers. Kind of get that monkey off their back, and they're well on their way to a wild card berth, because it's just unfortunate how stacked their division is.
Yeah, it really sucks.
Go ahead, Burke. I got Green Bay at 6 as well.
Okay. Number 5, barely edging out the Steelers. I do have the Ravens, really just because of the X factors that Lamar and Derrick Henry are on the offensive side of the football. The defense is atrocious this year.
I hate it.
Yeah, it's.
I have them too, just because of trying to somewhat respect, but
yeah, you could easily.
I'm like, you're not scary.
Yeah, the
argument they just have
exactly.
Too. I'm like,
yeah,
you guys are bound.
And y'all beat them. Y'all beat them a few weeks ago or 2 weeks ago. So I could totally see the argument that the Steelers are a better team. I think they're both kind of neck and neck in my opinion. I mean, in the standings, it's kind of reflected that way. But the Ravens just had that little extra edge with having Lamar Jackson at quarterback and Derrick Henry at running back. Two of the greatest of their generations at their respective positions. So it's tough, man. I really wanted to put the Steelers higher, but I just couldn't pick against Lamar and Derrick Henry. Offense is incredible this year. They're still amongst the tops in the league in just about every category offensively. It's really just that defense that's holding them back. And if that defense was half of what they were last year, they might be undefeated. Because, I mean, that offense is really, really good. They just can't keep the other teams from scoring. So I think they've only played 3 games this year where they've allowed their opponents to score less than 20 points. One of those was against the Steelers in a dogfight, and the other 2, I think they're like just dog shit teams, like the Giants and the Panthers or something like that. So, yeah, not impressed by their defense, but Lamar and Derrick Henry just put them a little over the top for me.
You can't pick the Steelers over them, but I sure as hell can. Give me the Steelers there at 5. I mean, I'll give them props, Joe. I didn't say it at the beginning of the season when we were doing our little tier list. Steelers elite rushing team. They got an elite rushing room. I'll give it to them now.
Mm-hmm. We've been saying that.
Hey,
That was the Bills.
I said it depended on the old line.
And as long as George Pickens gets his head screwed on straight and stops causing his team 30 yards worth of offensive penalties every game, that offense is in a real good spot. Cam Hayward, guy who doesn't get as much shine as he should, just breaking through the backfield and tearing running backs' heads off, batting passes. He's really kind of the unsung hero of that Pittsburgh D-line. So I really like that defense. They're always good, but that Steelers offense has come a long way since Denver started paying for their quarterback. So give me the Steelers at 5.
I almost did that. I almost got real cocky coming into this, and I was like, I'm going to throw the Steelers at 4. F it. Like, I'm confident, like, because Mike Tomlin, he was right. It's just like everything he wanted Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Up turnovers.
He was right.
Yeah, 2 of the 3 picks are
I think it's pretty close between them and my 4 team. I'll say that.
I mean,
like I said, I could easily have put the Steelers at 5, and then
I appreciate it. I was waiting. I wouldn't have been shocked if Aaron left him off the top 10 the way the list is starting to shape up, and I'm looking at my rankings, and I'm like, Aaron really might have put the Chargers and Denver and all these guys above the Steelers. I was like, man, this guy hates me. Anyway, my 5 is Minnesota. You guys have talked about them. I put them at 5 just because I'm gonna give respect to the record. I mean, they're 10-2 for a reason. The NFL this year, especially if you watch the NFL, it's really week to week. You have no idea what can happen, and they're up there with their records up there with like the Lions and the Chiefs. Like they're competing with those guys record wise. I feel like you got to give them their credit. They're pulling out close wins, which even though they're kind of ugly and you don't want to see it as a fan all the time, I mean, you're not going to have a lot of blowouts in the playoffs. So when it comes down to the fourth quarter, those last couple minutes, maybe they'll be prepared for it. But yeah, I'm gonna give them I got them at 5 still. They're 10-2.
So my number 4 team.
Do we have the same number 4 team?
I think so. Because I could kind of tell that you had them here after you said that the Steelers might be better than them. And honestly, I was kind of like, I got the Kansas City Chiefs at 4. I just can't justify putting them above my top 3 teams right now. They're doing enough to win.
Lost one of them.
They're doing enough to win, but yeah, they lost to one exactly. They lost to one of them. They're doing enough to win, but that's really all you can say about them right now. I mean, having to beat the Raiders and the Broncos on just the flukiest of plays, both of those games, and then barely beating the Panthers sandwiched in between them, and losing to the Bills also sandwiched in between them. It's been a rough 4 weeks. Despite going through the roughest 3-1 stretch I've ever been a part of as a fan. It is just
part of your schedule.
Yeah, the easiest part of outside the Bills, what should have been like the easiest part of our schedule, and we're just like we're struggling. We're struggling a little bit. Defense has looked. They only let up 17 points this past week, but they let up 27 to the Panthers. Bills scored 30 for the first time. Like the first time teams scored 30 on us in like 2 years or something stupid. Yeah, defense is a little worrisome right now. Secondary specifically. A lot of guys getting loose down the field. Not liking that. Pat Mahomes has gotten better. I will say that. Patrick Mahomes probably looks the best he has all season right now, which is encouraging. That's really the only bright spot of the team, it feels like. That and Travis Kelce's getting going. It's a little nervous. Pacheco's back, that's true. So things are looking up. Hollywood's supposed to be back in a couple weeks, allegedly. He's been teasing that since week 1, though, so who knows. And I mean, it's nervous right now. We take solace in the fact that we are locked into the playoffs now and basically locked at the division, especially if we win this week. It is, I think, locked in. But yeah, it's been a scary month for Chiefs fans. Scary month.
Yeah, I got Chiefs at 4 as well. You take away a couple miracle wins, and this division race is a lot closer than
All of a sudden
it is
we're,
right now.
Yeah, 11-3, 11-4.
Got definitely O-line concerns. Our tackles either are a turnstile or commit a penalty, which is a big worry. And secondary is pretty banged up with some guys that I don't think are going to return this year. So we got some guys that need to step up and figure it out, or we're just gonna have to start outscoring people.
Get your shit together.
But yeah, got some definitely glaring weaknesses for an 11-1 team that doesn't look like an 11-1 team. So I'm worried.
Yeah.
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't.
If this was the Alex Smith Chiefs from 6-7
We'd be
years ago,
DOA.
Yeah. Like when we were in 2017, 11-1 or whatever we were. That's what it would feel like.
At number 4, I don't got Kansas City. I got Philly. I know they're gonna be in one of your guys' last 3 teams, so I'm not even gonna hit on them heavy. I'm gonna let y'all go ahead dive into all that stuff. Only reason, I mean, they're getting rolling at the right time of the season. At last year, the problem and kind of the year before was like the finishing of the season, second half, and right now they're starting to get going. And Saquon looks like he can battle for an MVP candidate. That's all I'll say. I'll let y'all touch on them the rest, but yeah, Philly at 4.
Yeah, I mean, piggybacking off that, I got Philly at 3. Kind of the opposite of what happened with them last year. Last year they finished weak, started strong, finished weak. This year they kind of carried that funk into the beginning of the season. Went 2-2 before what ended up looking like life-changing bye week in week 5 because they haven't lost since. And they've looked just as good, if not better, than any other team in the NFL, outside of maybe you could argue Buffalo since then. Definitely the best rushing attack in the league with Saquon Barkley, well on his way, in my opinion, to winning Offensive Player of the Year. And we talked about it earlier this week, Joe. Could be in MVP conversations with how lackluster the quarterback stats look like this year. Unfortunately, it's probably just not going to happen because it's a quarterback award now. But, best running back in the league right now, and Saquon Barkley. Jalen Hurts has really reduced the turnover concerns that he had. The first 4 weeks were terrible. Really, really rough first 4 weeks turning the ball over. I don't know if these were all Jalen Hurts, but combined 2, 4, 6, 8 turnovers in 4 games to start the season. Do the math, 2 a game. Not good. Since then, 3 turnovers in the last fucking 8 games or whatever, so completely turned that around, and I really think it kind of just comes down to taking care of the football, giving the rock to Saquon Barkley, and letting him just destroy whatever defense is in front of him. So, Philadelphia, hot as hell, keep cooking.
Yeah, I've got Philly at 3 as well. Just dominant football being played by them. Pretty much all across the board. Little concerning there kind of in the middle of the year. They still got the job done, but when they were kind of out, Antonio Brown and Devontae Smith, things definitely looked a lot different, but now they got those weapons back. Spread the field out a little bit more for Saquon, and that offense is just taken off. And that defense has started developing some of those players that they got the last couple of years, and really kind of turned that defense back around. So, yeah, Eagles at 3.
those, they're good. They're good. Like I think all these teams. Me and Burke talked about this earlier today. Like all these teams can absolutely be argued to be one spot above the other person.
Yeah.
Like whoever you name next, you can argue it the way this is playing out. But number 3, I know y'all will have them somewhere as well. I got Buffalo. They're playing, man. Josh Allen. I feel like quarterback. If you had to pick an MVP, it might be him. The way he's been playing. Again, I would argue with Burke. I want to Saquon. I feel like if the year or something, we'll see how it ends. But yeah, Buffalo's playing. Josh Allen's playing some of the best ball. Still not turning the ball over, making plays when they need it most. I mean, they're pulling out the close ones. They're blowing people out. They're making it happen.
Yeah, Buffalo's my number 2 team, so I'll try to keep it short. Beat the Chiefs comfortably. I wouldn't say they blew them out, but definitely comfortably with that late game run by Josh Allen that sealed it for them. Basically put the game away before it was over. Went to a bye week. Coming out, they had to face San Francisco, who looked to be going into the game. Obviously, they didn't end the game this way. But San Francisco going into the game looked to be as close to 100% as they've been all year. Christian McCaffrey was back. You had Debo on the field. Obviously, Brandon Ayuk is still out, but Juwan Jennings has kind of cemented himself as a potential wide receiver 1 in this league somehow out of nowhere. Still had George Kittle out on the field. So a fairly healthy Niners team. Granted, inclement weather to say the least, with just absolute downpour of snow that entire game from kickoff to final whistle.
Football weather.
Football weather, and Buffalo loves football weather because they beat the absolute living tar out of the Niners, basically ending their season in the process. And I think Josh Allen's front runner for MVP right now. They also have one of the better running games in the league. James Cook's really been able to take the pressure off of Josh Allen, putting up third most touchdowns running the ball as a team this year. So. And on top of that, they're not turning the ball over. I mean, obviously, that's been a big conversation point this year with Josh Allen, is that all of a sudden he just forgot how to throw interceptions, which that was literally the only weakness in his game. So, holy fuck, watch out.
I've got the Lions at 2. I think they might be one of the most complete, well-rounded teams in the NFL. 2 absolute monster running backs, one of the best wide receivers in the league, one of the best tight ends in the league, arguably the best O-line in the league, decent enough, good enough quarterback play, and just, even minus Aiden Hutchinson, an absolutely rocking defense. So
yeah,
the only thing that's kind of differentiating them from my top team, which is I think obviously going to be the Bills, is the quarterback.
The Josh
That's really
Allen
kind of the only thing. Yeah. Josh Allen, out of this world. Then you throw in Amari Cooper, and just a real great veteran, experienced receiver. Going to get Kincaid back here pretty soon. One of the better young tight ends in the league. Cook, who's really come on. Since last year, that offense is just
yards.
Yeah, Khalil Shakir. So that offense is just absolutely humming, and I think the Bills have the best player in football right now.
I think it's fair.
Yeah, it is. It honestly is. My number 2 team is Detroit. Everything pretty much you guys have said. I really like their O-line. I think that last year, NFC Championship game, I think that's going to be a big deal for them, like going into the playoffs. I feel like that's going to carry them and make them. That's why I'm going to pick them over the Bills. Just the experience of being there. Bills have still yet to do it in the playoffs, really. Really big, at least, it seems like. So that's the only reason I'm taking the Lions.
Yeah, I mean, obviously my number 1 team is going to be the Detroit Lions. First time this year I haven't had the Chiefs number 1, for good reason, because the Chiefs just don't look like the number 1 team in the league right now. Pretty simple when it comes to the Lions. They give up the least amount of points. They score the second most amount of points. Pretty good recipe for success, I'd say.
Pretty good team.
Yeah, pretty damn good. They give up the second least amount of yards on top of that, or they score, or they gain the second most amount of yards on top of that. So yeah, I mean the offense is obviously kind of the highlight of this team. I'm a little higher on Jared Goff than you are, Aaron. It's probably, I mean, obviously I don't think he's better than Josh Allen, but
Aaron don't like.
that's probably the reason that I have the Lions slightly ahead of the Bills, is because I do have a little faith in Jared Goff. Then on top of that, I mean, they've got probably the best running back duo. Not running game, because I think, like I said earlier, Eagles probably the best running game. You could even say the Ravens with, the two-headed monster of Lamar and Derrick Henry. But when you're talking about just two running backs playing off each other in a tandem, Sonic and Knuckles are better than any other unit in the league. David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. Amon-Ra St. Brown cemented himself as a top receiving threat in this league. Jameson Williams has really come on. And then you had Tim Patrick, who, Denver fans were wondering why I didn't have him in, their top 4 wide receiver conversation. It's because I knew y'all were going to cut him for some stupid reason, you morons. Tim Patrick's been a really good complement to that receiving core. I think Sam Laporte has been hurt a large part of this year, and they're still somehow doing everything on offense without him. Obviously, we mentioned Aiden Hutchinson earlier, and the defense just really seems like it hasn't missed a beat. Lions right now to me look like the best team in the league. They can score with just about anybody, and they can keep just about anybody from scoring. So,
like you said, Laporta. I mean, I think part of Laporta not having as big of a year is both running backs are killing it.
Yeah.
Your star receiver is, and Jameson Williams is nuts right now.
Yeah, he's been ridiculous this year.
You add him in there and those deep balls and stuff. I mean, there's only so much for it to go around for Laporta to be what he was last year. But I think you were right. He was hurt. My number one team that I completely disagree with you guys on is the Kansas City Chiefs. I got them still number one. I understand you other fans, you guys actually, watch.
We're too close to it. Yeah.
So I understand everything as to why, because at the same time, I'm doing it more so because my stance on why I've had the Chiefs at number one remains the same. It seems at quarterback, he is playing, it seems like, a little bit better, which is not good for the rest of the league to see. That's not what you want. If he starts, you're hoping it lasts the whole year, that he's just in this funk. If he starts to roll before the playoffs, and here come there's a reason they're back-to-back Super Bowl champs. Like, the playoffs, the stage isn't going to scare them. Like, you're banking on the Chiefs not playing well enough, who are still playing not well, and still 11-1. The Steelers a couple years ago, we were 11-0, and we were one of the worst 11-0 teams I had ever seen. Your guys' team is way better than that team still. Like, our defense was really, really, really good, but our offense was, it was terrible. That was the year Big Ben just started calling his own plays. That was the only reason we got to 11-0. He told Matt Canada F off. So, Chiefs, I'm sticking with them. 15's at quarterback. You always got a chance. You still have Andy Reid. I'm going to take it. You guys don't like the close games. I'm going to look at it as, again, I kind of said it earlier, the playoffs. When the lights shine brightest, when things matter, when it comes down to those final minutes of the games, you guys are still managing to pull them off. Now, the Denver game, those other things that are happening, whatever. You take away those 2 games, you guys would be, what, 9-3?
Take away Oakland and Denver, Las Vegas.
So like however much you want to put on those plays, nonetheless, I mean, the way kickers have been this year, can't blame you guys for getting that ending the way that they did. So, I'm going to just rock with the Chiefs. I agree with everything you guys said about them, but I still tell someone knocks them off, they're at 1 for me.
I mean, I appreciate the confidence. I do think, like I said earlier, Patrick Mahomes is playing the best he has all year, and I do think that the team will hit another.
Still not at Mahomes.
No, but I do think the whole team as the team as a whole will hit another gear when it comes playoff time. At this point, they've been there, done that enough times that it should be the case. I appreciate the confidence. Right now, I can't put them over those 3 teams. Those 3 teams are playing too well at this point in time.
The same reason you guys put the Steelers higher than I had them.
Yeah.
I've seen too many times. I've seen what happens. So I'm not getting hopes up, but you guys are different. So respect going both ways. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, unless y'all got anything else, do want to point out that this video will probably be coming out It may be coming out after the Thursday night football game between the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions. So who knows what happens in that game? That could, shift our rankings. Maybe not Joe's, because Joe had the Lions at 2 and not 1 like me. But if the Lions lose this game, I might look kind of stupid. So, but also good for having the Pack. No, I didn't have the Packers high enough. Oh well. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below your top 10 or 11 teams in the NFL right now. Most importantly, have a good day. Deuces.